and I'm live drawing the Republican National Convention, and I'm looking at the monitor now. This is Laura Trump, but I'm actually waiting for Mike Pence to show up. But I'll draw her, Laura Trump. Been live drawing it since it began, and it's interesting. I'll show you my drawings that I've done in the last 3 days. I try to capture quotes as well. So if I turn you around, you can see my iPad. I work on an iPad.
My parents raised me to believe that in America, I could achieve anything with hard work and determination. But the opportunities available to me were limited only by the size of my ambition.
This woman is married to Eric Trump, Lara Trump.
Those very dreams are what led me to New York City. I've heard the adage, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. And I intended to do just that. Never in a million years did I think that I would be on this stage tonight. And I certainly never
One thing I've observed, which maybe other people don't, is because most people aren't drawing this, this convention, is that the women pretty much all have long hair, and like this,
and they were down to earth.
And they have a lot of makeup.
They made me feel like I was home. Walking the halls of the Trump organization, I saw the same family environment.
So for Kellyanne Conway, she spoke earlier. She didn't have long hair. She has shoulder-length hair, but she was wearing white in honor, I assume, of the suffrage anniversary today. Women gained the right to vote 100 years ago.
Though I had no political experience, he believed in me. He knew I was capable, even if I didn't. So it didn't surprise me when President Donald Trump appointed so many women to senior-level positions in his administration.
Speaking of which, she's talking about women.
Secretary of the United Nations, Secretary of the Air Force, the first female CIA director, the first black female director of the Fish and Wildlife Service, and countless ambassadors, just to name a few. Under President Trump's leadership, women's unemployment hit the lowest level since World War II. 4.3 million new jobs have been created for women. In 2019 alone, women took over 70% of all new jobs. Female small business ownership remains at an all-time high, and 600,000 women have been lifted out of...
Just joined me. I'm Liza Donnelly. I'm a cartoonist and a writer for The New Yorker, The New York Times, and others. And I'm live drawing the Republican National Convention on my iPad. It's the third night of the RNC. This woman's hair is hard to pin down. It's sort of blonde, but it's sort of gray. I guess that's platinum. This is not natural gray hair. I'm trying to think of a quote for her. I have to listen.
And I think about what I tell myself now as we head towards the most critical election in modern history. This is not just a choice between Republican and Democrat, or left and right. This is an election that will decide if we keep America, America, or if we head down an uncharted, frightening path towards socialism. Abraham Lincoln once famously said, "America will never be destroyed from the outside."
Here's my quote.
If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. While those words were spoken over 150 years ago, never have they been more relevant. Will we choose the right path and maintain the unique freedoms and boundless opportunities that make this country the greatest in the history of the world? Will we remain the beacon of hope for those around the world fighting oppression, communism, and tyranny? The choice
A lot of the speakers tonight, as the other two nights, are using a lot of fear tactics, talking about frightening riots and looting and fear and mayhem and the radical left. Keep calling Biden and Harris radical left. Violent mob, she just said it. These are buzzwords to my ears. Safety, talking about safety. Our American life, all in the same breath. President Trump is the law and order president. From our borders to our backyard. This is what the pundits are saying. This is the platform that Trump is trying to run on as law and order candidate. Keep America, America. So that's Lara Trump. This man, Jack Brewer, former NFL player, I think, spoke directly about racism and how he doesn't believe Trump is a racist. Lee Stefanik is a representative from New York who was I think she was on one of the hearings recently. Kellyanne Conway. It's my Kellyanne Conway drawing. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hi guys. Hi Peter from Seattle. Hi Mark from LA. Pablo from LA. How are those fires? It's kind of scary, huh? Melissa, it's tempting to draw them, well, unkindly, like the add fangs or tails or horns. Melissa, it's a question, okay. Is it tempting to draw them unkindly? I'm trying not to. Hi, Brett from LA. I have caricatured Trump before, and I've caricatured, Democrats too. So, Brett says, I can't remember the last time Lara was in the spotlight. Yeah, was she an advisor? Oh, she's a senior advisor, yeah. I don't think I've ever heard her speak before. I haven't drawn any flags tonight. They all have 1 million flags behind them. Oops, that was a failed attempt. Oh, Kaylee McKin. How do you say her last name? McKinney? I'm sorry, I've never said her name out loud. Who's this?
My name is Sam Kahil. There is a hole in my heart since my beloved Jackie was taken from me.
Well, I'm waiting for Mike Pence to show up.
There were 2 things that Jackie
this is Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota. And she talked about violent, unruly mobs if we go for the Democrats. This is last night, Melania Trump, who gave a long speech, which started out seeming like a normal speech, very thoughtful, caring, and then it sort of fell in line with the rest of the speeches we've been hearing about. She's obviously supporting her husband and singing his praises, saying he's a good guy, even though he doesn't sound like it sometimes. Mike Pompeo spoke to us from Jerusalem. Eric Trump. This is all last night. Oops. The man speaking now is Sam Vigil, whose wife was murdered in 2019, spoke at the White House last month about federal resources to fight crime. I'm not drawing him, mostly because I'm trying to focus on the more known people in this convention. I don't always do that. I sometimes draw ordinary people. Well, last night Trump had some citizens sworn in as Americans on live TV. And I just heard that some of these did not know they were being streamed live. This is Tiffany Trump spoke last night, and she has a lot of eye makeup, and I drew that. Cissy Graham Lynch, who's a granddaughter of Billy Graham, spoke, and she claimed that the Biden-Harris ticket would leave no room for people of faith. And I don't know how she knows to say that. Biden also pardoned a man, John Ponder, who was in jail many years ago for armed robbery and has since done a lot of good things for people in prison. I admire the man, but I don't admire that Trump pardoned him as a political stunt. Who's this speaking? Clarence Henderson. Maybe I'll draw him. Civil rights pioneer for Trump. That's interesting.
I know from personal experience, walking into Woolworth department store on February 2nd, 1960.
Oh, he was one of the people that sat in Woolworths.
My friends have been denied service the day before.
Interesting. I've been there. I've been to that location. There's a museum for that sit-in, that Woolworth sit-in.
In handcuffs, or on a stretcher, or even in a body bag. By sitting down to order a cup of coffee, we challenged injustice. We knew it was necessary, but we didn't know what would happen. We faced down the KKK. We were cursed at and called all kinds of names. They threatened to kill us, and some of us were arrested. But it was worth it.
Oops.
Our actions inspired similar protests throughout the South against racial injustice. And in the end, segregation was abolished, and our country moved a step closer to true equality for all. That's what actual peaceful protest can accomplish. America isn't perfect. We're always improving. But the great thing about this country is that it's not where you come from, it's where you're going. I was born on what some would call the wrong side of the tracks. I don't even have a birth certificate. I never attended an integrated school, and am the only one out of my immediate family who graduated from college, an HBCU. I'm a military veteran and a civil rights activist. And you know what else? I'm a Republican, and I support Donald Trump. If that sounds strange, you don't know your history. It was the Republican Party that passed the 13th Amendment.
He's talking about the Republican Party of the past. It's much different than the Republican Party now.
It was the Republican Party that passed the 15th Amendment, giving black men the right to vote.
He's right, but it was a very different party back then.
There are Americans, voters all over the country, who media is trying to convince to conform to the same old Democratic talking points. You know what that'll get you? The same old result. Joe Biden had the audacity to say, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Well, to that, I say, if you do vote for Biden, you don't know history. Donald Trump is not a politician. He's a leader. Politicians are a dime a dozen. Leaders are priceless. The record funding Trump gave HBCUs is priceless too. So are the record number of jobs he created for the black community, and the investment he drove into our neighborhoods with tax incentives and opportunity zones. And so are the lives he restored.
This is a great tool on this app. You can move things around. Really good tool. This app is called Paper by WeTransfer, and this is all I use for my drawing. It's great. I do use another app for animation, but let's see what you guys are saying. What application is that? Oh, okay. Thanks, dogs. Dogs can't whistle. Yes, it's called Paper 50 by it used to be called 53, but now it's Paper by WeTransfer. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy says, Liza, you're amazing. Thank you for your talent, your passion, and your humor. From the Umbrella Cover Museum on Peaks Island. Oh, Nancy Hoffman from Nancy Hoffman is the owner of a museum on Peaks Island in Maine that is all about umbrella covers. So that's Wolf Blitzer talking about the hurricane. So I can show you how I send this out on Twitter now. I should send out this one first. First I have to put my internet back on, my Wi-Fi back on. I turn off the Wi-Fi because it makes the broadcast better. But for the moment, I will just send this out, and sometimes I'll say a remark or I'll make a comment, but I don't think I will this time. I just put a hashtag in, pick ones that are trending, and I might, on other occasions, I might put the person's their handle in. Sometimes I do that. Different events that I do. I usually do this live. When I 4 years ago or 3 years ago, it was 4 years ago. Sorry, it's late. I went to the DNC in Philadelphia and was able to be there and live draw it. It was fascinating. I wish I could have been here. I tried to get to these conventions before COVID-19 became a thing and prevented everybody from going. But I do like to go live. I covered the DNC. I covered the inauguration. I've been to the White House. I actually saw Kellyanne Conway when I was at the White House. I went to a press conference with Trump and the Italian Prime Minister. I've been to the women's marches and other big events like that. I've been to the Oscars, the Grammys, and lots of conventions. So this is where, yeah. So this was the first night Donald Trump Jr. spoke. And Nikki Haley spoke. Each night seems to be pretty much the same. This is Trump. A couple of times the first night, Trump would sit and talk to citizens. I forget who these citizens were. And they were somewhat socially distanced, but they were a little further apart than this, but I couldn't fit them in there. So I put them closer together. But no masks. I don't remember who this guy was. Sorry. And then this is Kimberly Guilfoyle. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name properly. Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend. And she's been the talk of the social media for the last couple of days because she was like yelling, passionately yelling at the camera. These are the two people, the homeowners in St. Louis. If you recall, they were the Black Lives Matter march. A Black Lives Matter march was going down the street and past their house, and they came out with their guns and didn't do anything with the guns, thankfully, but they were brandishing their guns, and it was caught on tape. So they were then invited to the RNC to speak about the dangers of electing Democrats into office because your homes will not be safe, which frankly is maybe not so veiled, but it's racist, I believe. Particularly when they were trying to protect their house, quote unquote, from Black Lives Matter's peaceful protesters who were not going after their house, but even if they were, and they weren't. This man, Representative Vernon Jones, spoke the first night. Trump spoke again to citizens, and I chose not to color them in for effect, trying to focus on Trump. I forget what else he said, but he did say that. I try to get my quotes as realistic as possible, as close to the original words as possible. This speaker was really interesting in that he's a doctor and he's a Trump supporter, and he talked about how Trump saved lives during the coronavirus. And the first day, I'm going to mute this because it's distracting me. The first day of the convention, a lot of the speakers were implying that the way they spoke about it, that the virus was over, and that Trump had fixed it, which is a lie. Ronna McDaniel is the RNC chairwoman, and she spoke as well. She was interesting. She was making the point that Joe is so nice. Everybody's saying Joe is so nice. Well, Trump might not be you might not like his words, but he's tough. A lot of talk in these last 3 nights attacking Biden for being ineffectual, not getting anything done, which is also not true. This is Tanya Weinreis. I don't remember who she was. She was one of the first speakers. Oh, I know. She was a citizen, a mother. I forget the context. Another citizen. This is a teacher who was speaking against teachers' unions. And we started out the whole thing with a prayer by the Archbishop of New York, who I met at CBS. But they start every night of the convention with a prayer of some sort. Tonight, I didn't draw the other clergy other than him. I just didn't. But tonight they had a rabbi speak to begin the proceedings, and these they're back talking about something. They between the speakers, this convention, highly produced convention, and mostly taped convention, they have shots of major monuments in Washington D.C. because the RNC is being based in Washington, and Trump's giving a lot of his appearances, which he's appearing every night, from the White House. Melania spoke last night from the Rose Garden, this is unprecedented. Thank you, Salty Nuts. Saying it's pretty cool to look at. Thanks. Yeah, this is just something that I've come up with. Live drawing events and sending them out on social media. I will put them on Twitter immediately. And normally I would be on location, but I can't. Say soon Mike Pence is coming to speak. Can you hear this? Oops, sorry. Very patriotic tone to this convention, and a lot of American flags. There's Melania. Government by the people. These are the threads that bind us together as Americans. For we're not a nation born of blood, but of belief. And even though that old flag is sometimes been battered. If you just joined me, this is Liza Donnelly, and I'm live drawing the RNC with my tablet. Something that I do and send out on social media, Twitter first, and then the other platforms afterwards. The app I use is called Paper by WeTransfer. And I'm a New Yorker cartoonist and writer. Also worked for the New York Times, written for the Times and drawn for them. So I get a sense that Mike Pence is coming up because they're talking about Indiana, which is where he's from. They're giving us a little background on Mike Pence. It's a picture of him with Ronald Reagan.
As President Reagan said, freedom is never more.
Pence is a very religious man.
His grandfather was a hard-working Irish immigrant who drove a bus to provide for his family. His father served our nation bravely in the Korean War and earned a Bronze Star.
I've drawn Pence before.
Mike was the third of 6 children, raised here in
Maybe I'll do a little,
Indiana, with a cornfield in his backyard.
Attempts right now.
And the foundation of freedom
Is that?
is
It's
faith.
black.
It was in this small Indiana town his foundation of faith in Jesus Christ was laid. And from that conviction sprung his love
Let's
of
see.
people and service.
They're showing pictures of Mike Pence when he was younger with hair.
Mike met the love of his life, Karen. They married and have 3 children.
His eyes are very close together.
And Audrey.
I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican. In that order.
Mike became
Oh, he's a Christian, conservative, and a Republican in that order.
host of a statewide conservative radio show, and then a congressman. In Washington, Mike
I'm drawing this just from memory.
a foremost defender of
It's not
freedom.
quite right.
He led conservatives in the fight to protect our time-honored
Let's see if you
values
guys are
of
speaking.
faith, life, liberty, and limited government.
Our nation's strength begins at home, because strong families make a strong America.
Mike earned the trust of the people of his state and became the 50th governor of Indiana. He delivered the largest state tax cut in Indiana history, expanded school choice, led the country in manufacturing, and helped more Hoosiers get to work.
Yeah, Joshua, I try to capture quotes
ABC News has learned that Donald Trump
as I'm drawing, so I don't have an assistant. If I had an assistant, I'd maybe have them find a quote, but I don't. Just I have to draw, and I'm listening as I draw.
As our vice president, Mike Pence has held
Oh, I forgot. I thought he was,
threads of freedom,
for some reason in my brain, I had him
leading with
with very little hair, but he's actually got
President Trump.
uh,
Our nation experienced
like
prosperity
white hair,
before.
very white hair.
He is solid as a rock.
I'm not.
He's been
I don't see him yet.
vice president.
And now, in these uncertain days, we are equipped to overcome. In times of trouble,
That's not right.
some call to retreat from those ideals. But Americans throughout history have lifted them in triumph, hope, and resilience.
Sometimes people are hard to draw when they have very
Stars and stripes do not merely represent
ordinary
who we
features,
are.
and he sort of does. There's no outstanding
As the sun
like
rises again on
a
America,
nose, like that.
to those lofty truths, to guide our country and every one of us.
Or ears. You know, Obama has ears like nobody's business.
Vice President Mike Pence.
All right, here he comes. Okay, he's speaking from on location at Fort McHenry in Baltimore, Maryland.
Please welcome the Vice President of the United States, Mike.
And he's walking through
accompanied by the second
a
lady,
fort
Mrs. Karen Pence.
tunnel with his wife, Karen Pence, who spoke earlier. I didn't draw her. They're holding hands. There's people, obviously you can hear them. There's people in the audience. They're outside. Here he comes. He's got a lot of flags behind him. I'm going to draw him smaller than that. So, no, I want him smaller than that.
Good evening, America.
He's got ears
It's an honor
too.
to speak to you tonight
Everybody has ears, but he's got
from the hallowed
noticeable ears.
grounds of Fort McHenry, the site of the very battle
Got
that
it.
inspired the words of our national anthem. Those words have inspired this land of heroes in every generation since.
Nope.
It was on this site 206 years ago
Bit of a square top.
when our young republic heroically withstood a ferocious naval bombardment from the most powerful empire on earth.
Doesn't look like him.
They came to crush our revolution, to divide our nation, and to end the American experiment. The
Sometimes,
heroes who held this fort,
as I told you, some of these people are hard to draw.
liberty, freedom, and the American flag. And those ideals have defined our nation. But they were hardly ever mentioned at last week's Democratic National Convention. Instead, Democrats spent 4 days attacking America. Joe Biden said that we were living through
Historically,
a season of darkness. But as President Trump said, where Joe Biden sees American darkness,
vice presidential
we
candidate
see American greatness.
is usually on the attack.
In these challenging times, our country needs a president who believes in America, who believes in the boundless capacity of the American people to meet any challenge, defeat any foe, and defend the freedoms we hold dear. America needs 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. Before I go further, allow me to say a word to the families and communities in the path of Hurricane Laura. Our prayers are with you tonight. And our administration is working closely with authorities in the states that will be impacted. FEMA has mobilized resources and supplies for those in harm's way. This is a serious storm, and we urge all those in the affected areas to heed state and local authorities. Stay safe, and know that we'll be with you every step of the way to support,
He's got a thick neck.
respond,
These are things I
and
notice.
recover in the days and weeks ahead. That's what Americans do.
And there's some major microphones ahead of him, but I'm not going to draw them because then it takes away from
4 years ago, I answered the call
his
to join this ticket
face.
because I knew that Donald Trump
Ears are even bigger than I
in the
thought.
vision to make America great again. And for the last 4 years, I've watched this president endure unrelenting attacks, but get up every day and fight to keep the promises that he made to the American people. So with gratitude for the confidence President Donald Trump has placed in me, the support of our Republican Party, and the grace of God, I humbly accept your nomination.
Oh yeah, he's accepting the nomination now.
As Vice President of the United States.
There was talk before the convention that maybe Trump would replace him with somebody, which he can do. But he didn't, obviously. I don't know why. I don't know why he would want to replace him. It would be more controversial than anything. I don't really like the way I drew his head.
Serving the American people in this office has been a journey I never expected. It's a journey that would not have been possible without the support of my family. Beginning with my wonderful wife, Carrie.
Let's see what you guys are saying.
She's a lifelong school teacher. An incredible
Looks like he's pinching his nose together without hands.
and she is
Joshua. Yeah, he's got a pinched nose.
Second Lady of the United States.
Give him long ears.
I'm so proud.
Lori. Hi, Lori. Hi, Lori Norton Moffat, director of the Norman Rockwell Museum.
More proud of our 3 children.
Thank you. You know,
J. Pence and his wife Sarah.
I think this is the best I can do. I'm not a caricaturist. I'm a cartoonist and a writer, and I like to do impressions of people sometimes. And I love live drawing events, so
serving our nation in the United
And
States Navy.
some of these people are hard to draw. But I have to capture a quote from Pence before he's finished.
A recent law school grad, our daughter Audrey, and her fiance, who, like so many other Americans, had to delay their wedding this summer. But we can't wait for Dan to be a part of our family. In addition, my wife and kids, the person who shaped my life the most, is also with us tonight. My mom, Nancy.
Whoa, his mother's still alive. Just showed her.
She is the daughter of an Irish immigrant, 87 years young. And Mom follows politics very closely. And the truth be told, sometimes I think I'm actually her second favorite candidate on the Trump-Pence ticket. Thank you, Mom. I love you.
Little Pence humor.
Over the past 40 years, I've had the privilege to work closely with our president. I've seen him when the cameras are off. Americans see President Trump in lots of different ways. But there's no doubt how President Trump sees America. He sees America for what it is. A nation that has done more good in this world than any other. A nation that deserves far more gratitude than grievance. And if you want a president who falls silent when our heritage is demeaned or insulted, he's not your man. Now, we came by a very different route to this.
Low power.
Not much gets past him. And when he has an opinion, he's liable to share it.
Oh, thank you,
He certainly kept
Arthur Burr. You said about me. She's good. I had the sound off, and I guess Pence.
Trump has kept his
Thanks.
word to the American people.
Lori says the eyes and the mouth say it all. Yeah, he's got these kind of sad eyes, very furrowed in his brow. And another friend of mine who's a cartoonist, Ann Telness, draws him with really dark eyes. Like she'll put shading in there, like.
By devastating budget cuts. An economy struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression.
I have to capture a quote, so excuse me for not talking for a minute.
And we witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values, freedom of religion and the right to life. That's when President Donald Trump stepped in. And from day one, he kept his word. We rebuilt our military.
Sometimes these long speeches, it's hard to grab a quote because they're very, very storytelling and not soundbitey. But I do try to capture what they're saying. It is my capture, so.
Renewed energy, we also returned American astronauts to space on an American rocket for the first time in nearly 10 years.
Well, I'll capture a quote later.
Robbed our veterans of the care that you earned
in the meantime,
President Trump kept his word.
Maybe I'll sign off.
We reformed the VA.
Oops. Can't even spell my own name.
Now available for every veteran in America.
So I'll capture a quote.
Our armed forces and our veterans fill this land of heroes. And many join us tonight in this historic. Tonight we have among us 4 recipients of the Medal of Honor.
me turn off the Wi-Fi.
6 recipients of the Purple Heart. A Gold Star Medal of a gallant Navy SEAL.
So,
And wounded warriors from Soldiers
I think I'll
a group that serves
turn this around and say goodnight. So, Liza Donnelly, cartoonist and writer for the New Yorker, the New York Times. I've been live drawing the Republican National Convention. I'm broadcasting for HAPS TV. And if you, let me just turn this down a bit. I do this every day for HAPS TV. Lately it's been in the evening for the convention, but often I do it in the late afternoon around 5:30. And I draw about the news. And I draw about what's going on. I sometimes will do political cartoons, and I'll draw it on paper. Tonight I'm working on my iPad because I'm doing live drawing, and it's what I am familiar with for the live drawing. But when I do my editorial cartoons, I usually work on paper, although I do both. And I live draw and talk about the issues, and I talk about the what I'm drawing and how I'm drawing it and why I decided to draw it every day around 5:30 or 6. So join me on HAPS TV, and my profile is hapstv.com/Liza Donnelly, I think, right? But if you go to HAPS TV, which is a new app for streaming journalism and sharing news, you can find me there. Just look for my name, and you can support me. They have a feature where you can sponsor me. You can be one of my sponsors for my live drawing and my visual journalism. So thanks for joining me, and hope to see you tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow night for the last night of the RNC, and Mr. Trump's going to speak, and I don't know who else. I haven't looked at the schedule for tomorrow yet, but he's the main event. And thanks for joining me. Have a good night.